Given Pope Francis's recent statements about the rigidity of the younger Catholic generation, I would like to ask what Mr. Coulombe's opinion is of the Catholic youth in the Church today. Whether he thinks that they will carry on the torch of the past 60 years, or whether they might make a sharp turn back to tradition, or whether the answer is really somewhere in between. As a Catholic youth myself, I wonder if Mr. Coulombe looks on this younger generation with hope, horror, or a little bit of both.
Well, I would say that where the Holy Father looks at the future with fear, I look at it with hope. I see a lot more horror in my generation than in the present one, and more horror yet in the generation that preceded me. The failings of today's Catholic youth, and they are a small minority of their generation, but their failings, as such, are the failings that come from not having been adequately prepared, from not having access to a real Catholic education. But that wasn't their doing. The fact that so many of them have such incredibly good instincts with nothing intellectual to base them upon, that's amazing to me. And the other thing that's funny, like again, where older Catholics might be very upset and see rigidity and be very upset about it and stamp their feet and stuff. I see people whose reactions to reality are quite natural. They really, if they really believe in the real presence, of course you're going to want to genuflect before it at the very least if you don't go crawling. Of course you're going to want the Mass to be as beautiful and as worthy of what you're doing as possible. Of course you're going to want your churches to be, as our Byzantine brethren call them, outposts of the kingdom of heaven. Of course you're going to want that. It was a very particular aberration, one might almost say a mental disease, of the people dominant in the church in the 60s to want to get rid of all that. But it was brought about for very particular and specific historical and sociological reasons, which today's youth, although they unfortunately have had to reap the results, they were informed by them. So to answer this chap, I have a lot of hope. I also have to say for millennials in general, people my age tend to make fun of them for not really, for being lazy and not really caring to get anything done and all that. I think it's wonderful. At long last, I have found another generation whose work ethic matches my own. And that's important to me. So all I can tell you is, on the one hand, you keep practicing the faith that was once delivered to the saints. Don't worry about what the elderly people say. And on the other hand, if you feel like strolling in to work at 10:30 because you got to get your latte, well, I'll be with you in spirit.
Okay, that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed listening to Charles, remember to sign up or to subscribe to the Tumbler House YouTube channel. If you'd like to send Charles a question, you can do so through the Tumbler House website.
And I should add that for those of you who are upset, perhaps, because we haven't gotten to your questions, don't be. We get a lot of them, but we appreciate them all, even if we don't answer them. Remember that for us, it's kind of like broadcasting into a void. So you're sending questions, even if they're not answered, show us that there are people out there listening. And that, after all, you folks out there listening, is what this is all about. God bless and Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Ciao.